Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. My name is Emily Batten, and I'm a marketing manager at Certiport. We're so happy to have you join us for our 5th Certified Academy Design webinar of 2024. Please feel free to drop in the chat and let us know where you're joining from and what courses you teach. This session is being recorded, so you will receive a link to the full recording via email after the presentation. All our attendees are currently muted, so we have set aside time at the end of our presentation for Q&A. Feel free to send questions through the Q&A or the chat as they come up. This session is being sponsored by the Unity Certified User Certification Program. The Unity Certified User Certification is an entry-level credential that allows individuals to get started in interactive content creation for industries such as gaming, entertainment, automotive, AEC, and XR. Whether it's a desire to create games and apps or build new worlds in AR and VR, Unity Certified User Certification is the place to start. Today, we are all here to dive in the world of virtual reality with Unity, and we'll be learning from Tommy Mayer. Tommy Mayer graduated with his marketing degree from the University of South Alabama, then worked in the graphic design industry for 12 years. However, his passion for education led him to transition into teaching, where he has dedicated the past 13 years of his career to serving Escambia County Public Schools. Using platforms like Unity, his students delve into the realms of 2D, 3D, and VR game development, pushing the boundaries of their imagination. Through his dedication and passion for teaching, Tommy continues to shape the minds of future innovators and creators in the field of technology. Thanks, Tommy, for being here. We'll go ahead and pass it over.
Okay. Welcome, guys. Again, Tommy, and I'm coming from you from the beautiful Pensacola, Florida. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize for my accent before we get started. It can get a little thick, but I am excited to speak with you today about VR and how teaching VR can revolutionize your classroom and equip your students with future-ready skills. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we will. Emily, if you can fix that, I'm sorry we had to.
Sorry about that.
No worries. That was my fault. All right. So I hope everybody can see it and we're good to go. All right. So I know most of you are probably thinking, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? But it's that's the fun thing, right? One of my favorite movies, my wife picks on me because I like end of the world type movies. And I love this scene where Owen Wilson does, I got that excited, scared feeling, like I'm 98% excited, 2% scared, or maybe it's more, it could be 98% scared, 2% excited, but that's what makes it so intense. That's every day in my class. I am super excited and then super scared because I want to make sure that my students are gravitating and grabbing the stuff that they need. But the good thing is, I believe personally, VR is the future of education. I believe that VR is going to be everywhere, or I hope it is. Can you imagine immersive learning experiences like your students taking the walk through on the Great Wall of China, dissecting a virtual frog, or traveling through the human body? We can enhance engagement, boost motivation and knowledge retention through interactive experiences and accessibility, provide virtual field trips or lab simulations for students with mobility limitations. And I know that you're probably thinking, well, what does that have to do with teaching VR, but yet utilizing it in other classrooms? And that's the point of what we're going to do today. Learning those VR skills. So here, I did some research why we need to teach emerging technologies. According to a report published by Dell Technologies and authored by the Institute for the Future and a panel of 20 techs, it says that 85% of the jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't been invented yet. And I think that's where what we do in our classrooms and challenging the standards is only going to make our students better. And it says that 12 years ago, again, these 6 jobs didn't exist. And so I know which, it seems like forever ago, but when I was in school, we didn't have app development. We didn't even think about app development. And now, one of the good things is, if you're not familiar with Unity, on the Google Play Store and iTunes, 80% of all apps on those stores are created in Unity. And it's only continuing to grow. So the pandemic actually accelerated VR development in a way. With lockdowns and social distancing, VR offered a way to connect, learn, and even travel virtually. This increased demand is fueling further innovation. And because of that, we're seeing a boom in VR applications for education, training, health care, and even remote work. Imagine attending a lecture in a virtual classroom where you can see 3D models of historical landmarks and a surgeon practicing a complex procedure in a safe, simulated environment. So, which companies are using these things? And all of these, you will get a email with this stuff, and every one of these have links to the videos to show you how these companies are using it. For example, McDonald's uses a VR program, and they've deployed it in more than 150 branches, and is teaching their crew members customer service, personal protective equipment, mobile ordering, and other skills. UPS, which I find it very, very fascinating, is training their employees to use VR headsets and 3D simulations to provide student drivers with realistic driving experiences in various conditions. The students are trained on road safety, handling road hazards, and overcoming challenges while in transit. One of the others, which is not on here, years ago, the Hilton actually used PlayStation Portables, the PSPs, to train their employees on customer service. And now these companies are moving past that and actually putting them in VR. So Walmart is pushing it through all their departments and teaching them customer service, the use of technology and soft skills, compliance, and etc. So why teach VR skills? Many of the skills learned in VR development and we use can translate well to other tech fields. For example, problem solving, critical thinking, spatial reasoning, and user experience design are all in high demand across the tech industry. Students are comfortable working in VR environments will likely find these transferable skills valuable in various tech careers. VR, and in my classroom, has revolutionized the way my students learn. They're more engaged, they're interactive, they're running around helping others. I think one of the things that I have found in my classroom is some of the students that have struggled along the way, when we start diving into VR, there's a different engagement with them, and they become the leaders in my classroom. And then we understand as educators, if students are teaching other students, they're learning and they're picking it up. And so it's a good thing. And that's one thing as I see in my classroom, and I can go back and tell you numerous times where a young lady struggled in programming, but as soon as we started diving into VR, her programming skills increased, but then she became a leader and helping others. I got a young man this year that has struggled in my classes with developing 2D and 3D games. And I know VR and 3D are very similar, but then all of a sudden, and it could be that they're seniors and they take it more, I guess, more serious, or they get more engaged, but it's a difference. Now this young man, again, hey, will you go fix this problem? Yes, sir. And they run over there. He runs over there and fixes it. He knows exactly what to do. And I don't know how that I haven't asked him what's clicked, but I know it has something to do with VR. it fosters creativity and innovation. When we put this in their hands, it's something that they're using every day. And now they get to explore, create, experiment in ways that they never thought. By teaching VR skills, educators inspire creativity, innovation, and enabling students to conceptualize and develop their own virtual experiences. And one of the things that we'll discuss a little later is I give my students a lot of free rein. This is what I want to see, and then create however whatever you feel to make that happen. By giving them free rein, it promotes critical thinking and problem solving because they see what they want to do, and or they think they know what they want to do, and then by diving into it, I tell my students all the time, how do you eat an elephant? And it's one bite at a time. Don't look at the big picture. Take it chunk by chunk. And when we do that, they start to understand and conceptualize what exactly is going on. It prepares for VR driven careers. And as I said earlier, this is the forefront of education. It's the forefront of health. It's the forefront of a lot of things. And with it continuing to advance, the demand of skilled professionals in VR related fields such as game development, simulation design, architecture, healthcare, and training is expected to grow. Teaching VR skills in a classroom prepares students for future careers and empowers them to pursue opportunities in emerging industries. Teaching VR skills in today's classroom is essential for equipping students with digital literacy, creativity, critical thinking, and adaptability. They need to succeed in an increasingly tech-driven world. And we understand that it's a global race, not just a local one. So how do we engage students through interactive? Consider our VR headsets. I wanted to talk about the things that I use. I use Oculus Quest. I use Oculus Quest 2 in my classroom. I use link cables. Link cables make it easier for our students to test. You can always push your app to your Oculus set, but it's easier to buy link cables. Oculus makes a link cable. Anchor makes a link cable. It's the Anchor link cable is very affordable. It's about $20 for a 10-foot one. You can buy up to 20 feet. I think they're around $30. And Apple Vision Pro, which Apple Vision Pro and Unity has partnered to create apps and to get them more, I guess, Apple more applications available for their clients. Valve Steam VR, and Vive are other options. I personally like Oculus because they're affordable. I say they're affordable. They're more affordable than the others, and then they're easy to use and easy to set up. We can identify curriculum connections, align VR experiences with existing lesson plans in science, history, art, and more. One of the things that I just wrote a grant a few months ago, and I'm hoping that it's approved. And what we want to do is to create a lesson in chemistry where students can perform experiments. My goal is to buy enough headsets for the chemistry lab and ours to share them so that when my students finish the app, they can then take it, and our students in chemistry can perform experiments that they're not able to on a normal basis. So the other thing is we got to identify the Certiport objectives and focus on learning targets. Determine specific educational goals that VR can enhance, such as understanding complex concepts, exploring historical environments, or practicing real-world skills. It's important that we understand what is expected of us through those objectives, and in creating our lessons through that way, and making sure that those small assignments that we give them goes along with that for the challenges and to prepare them for that certification. And if I'm going too fast, please raise your hand or feel free to interrupt. I can, when I get nervous, I can speak quite quite fast. So, creating immersive and engaging VR experiences. We got to focus on interactivity. Let students manipulate objects, solve puzzles, and participate in simulations within the VR environment. Again, it's about starting small. Bring in our XR rig. How do we make it move? How do we add hands to it? Or do we want to use controllers for those? Then we build upon that. And how do we pick up an object? How do we make it grabbable? Make sure that we're walking through those steps individually, not at the big picture, but little by little. Incorporate multimedia elements, combine 3D models, sounds effects, narration to create a rich sensory experience. I know I'll talk about this a little later also, but Mixamo has a great program that you can import 3D models into Unity. It's built, so the downloads, you can actually choose to grab the animations and the 3D objects themselves into Unity. Again, start small and scale up. Start with the basics. Begin by familiarizing yourself with VR technology, terminology, and applications through self-study. Online tutorials and experimentation with VR devices and software. Create simple VR activities and projects and gradually increase our complexity. Think outside the box. Choose VR experiences that engage students and incorporate cross-curricular activities. Again, another example, my daughter, and I know when I say that, you're probably going to say, why would your daughter want to take your class? But she did. She wanted to be in our academy. So one of the things that she did in 2019 is she was in chemistry and she had a project and she had to create a molecular structure. And so her idea was to create the molecular structure in a 3D VR environment. So that's what she did and she worked on it for quite a long time, where she could manipulate and move the molecules and place them around. When we engage students to think outside the box that way and to incorporate other core subjects, now we're becoming highly effective as teachers because we're incorporating what they do on a daily basis. And this is on our VR certification, is ensuring safety and well-being in VR learning. We have to establish clear VR usage guidelines regarding duration, breaks, proper headset positioning, be aware of potential side effects like motion sickness, and take precautionary measures like acclimatization breaks, right? Foster a supportive environment where students feel comfortable reporting any discomfort and students getting sick. Going back to potential side effects, I had LASIK surgery a few years ago, and when I wore my glasses, I didn't get sick with VR. Now, there's been a couple of games that I've tested for my students, and it's made me nauseous, which then again helps them because they understand that they need to change the frames per second. They need to work on the processing where they're not making people sick. But then again, they thought it was funny that they made me sick. But it's good. It's a learning experience for both of us. So cross-curricular integrations and collaborations. Combine history and VR to explore historical events or integrate VR science simulations and biology lessons. One of the things that I think will change our education with VR is if students are learning about Gettysburg, or if they're learning about a historical event, if they can create that and then utilize it in their history class, it changes the way students learn. They're trying to recreate something that other students can then take advantage of and learn from that, right? Collaborate with technology companies, partner with Adobe and Autodesk to leverage their VR creation tools. Adobe has Mixamo that has 3D models with animations that export specifically for Unity. Autodesk does the exact same thing. They have export functions that you can create these and utilize those inside your VR programs. Invite VR professionals. I'll give you an example. Your local military recruiters, let them speak to your class. VR and military is the wave of the future. We're seeing it all the time. They're training our soldiers in VR. I know we have been invited to go to some of their training facilities. We haven't accepted yet because we haven't gotten it approved, that because they utilize guns in those and they want our kids to take advantage of those. But so we haven't been able to get that approved, but I do invite them in to speak about the way that they train our soldiers to prepare for certain things. It's a great opportunity for our students. And how do we build confidence? And this is not confidence for our students, but in turn they do. This is more confidence for ourselves, right? Participate in workshops, seminars. Thank you for being here today. I don't feel like I am an expert on this. I think I learn every day, and I think that's what helps me in my classroom is I am always watching videos, trying to learn. I'm trying to leverage everything that I have, right? Geometrics has artists, VR, programmer. They have practice tests. They have courses that you can go through that you can take advantage of. There's Welcome to Unity Learn. Unity is constantly changing their educational site and updating it to the newest version. They have Unity Essentials, Junior Programming, Creative Core, VR development, mobile AR development. The VR development is fantastic. My students go through that, and they've gone through that the last 4 years. And I have seen where students have learned so much by using this and then introducing other tutorials to gravitate and increase their knowledge. Access online resources, tutorials, guides, lesson plans, case studies to learn about best practices, emerging trends, and innovative uses of VR in education. Collaborate and network with other educators in VR. Join professional communities, become a member of online communities. And I actually think I skipped one, and I apologize because you're seeing Unity events. Unity has their own conferences. They stretch across the world. It's a great one to attend. They have the Game Developers Conference in March of 2025. They have an Educator Summit that is specifically for educators in game development. Workshops and conferences, Certified. If you haven't signed up for Certified, you should sign up for Certified. It is a fantastic conference. Emily and I were talking about this earlier. They treat you so well. You get to meet so many different teachers in different subjects. You get to meet the people at Certiport also that will help you. And networking is huge. It's been a blessing for me because I have friends that stretch across the country now, and they all teach VR, and we bounce things off one another, and it's nice to see what others are doing in their classroom. And when you take advantage of things like this, your depth of knowledge grows. I use online courses like Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, Coursera. Our county pays for a lot of this stuff for us. We only thing we have to do is request, and they find ways for us to incorporate this. I apologize. My dogs are starting to bark because my son just walked in, and so joining professional communities, become a member of online community forums or social media groups dedicated in VR education. I am a member of many Facebook groups that talk about Unity development, Unity for education, YouTube channels like Valum Tutorials, Rob Shocks, Muddy Wolf, Fistful of Shrimp. I utilize these all the time in my classroom. We use Rob Shocks today to try to fix an issue with a VR problem with our hands. I use Valum today also for using UI in our VR setup. We had a couple of students that were having some issues, so I was guiding them on how to on what to use and who to lean on. Those are two. Discord is another one. Unity, one of the Unity Facebook groups has switched from using Google Facebook Messenger and went to Discord, and they have different channels for you to be a part of. So those are good things to join by joining our learning groups. Again, they throw tutorials out there every once in a while. You get to see some of the things that other teachers are doing. I love watching what other teachers do because it triggers things in my classroom that, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. We can incorporate that in this. Advice to new educators teaching VR: start with the basics. So in my district, I'm the only one that teaches Unity in my district. I lead the Adobe group for our district. I'm a facilitator for that, and I'm a facilitator for our AP Computer Science classes. One of the things I tell all of our teachers that when we're doing this is start small and do it yourself. That's the only way that we're going to learn and be able to incorporate. We had one young man that was a phenomenal teacher. He went back into the workforce. But one of the things he did was, as his students were working, he would throw his screen on the TVs, and then he would design as they would design. And then every once in a while, they would stop and do, hey, how did you do that? And he does, that's a great question. And then he would stop everybody and they would walk through the process of how to do certain things. And by doing these things, you're learning, and then we're also teaching our students. And one of the best feedback, or not even feedbacks, one of the best advice I have ever been told is don't feel afraid to ask for help. And by far the greatest one is don't be afraid to say, I don't know, but we can find out how. And the thing is when I was taught that 13 years ago, he said, Tommy, never say, I will find out. He always said, we will find out, because then that puts the ownership back on the students also. And students know when you don't know something and you're trying to work your way through it. Be honest and just say, hey, I don't know how to do that, but we can figure it out. And that's what we're going to do. So why should we certify? Well, we personally, again, for all of my teachers that I say my teachers, all the teachers I work for or work with, I tell them that it is important that they take their certifications. One of the good things in our world with Certiport, we can test. We can get an idea of what's on this. I have taken the tests. I've taken artist, I've taken VR, I've taken programmer, and every one of them. And hey, I'm being honest, programmer I help write, and VR I help write the certifications. And some of the questions, like, oh my gosh, I don't think I taught that in any of my units. And it makes me go back to do, hey, this is something that we have to incorporate. It's important as educators to be able to take these tests and utilize them, pass or fail, then we can do, okay, now I know I need to incorporate more of this. And I'll give you an example. When we were writing the programmer certification, I didn't cover animation hardly at all. And even though I teach 2D, 3D, and VR, me personally, I believe I'm a 2D expert because I spend a year designing 2D games, and that's all we do. And I didn't dive enough into animation. When I got back into my classroom, I created curriculum that went step by step animations to prepare our students for that because I knew that they were missing those questions. And if I wasn't teaching them, they were not going to see it. And if I didn't know if it was on the test, I didn't know what to teach. So it's important that we take those tests and we see what's on there. It prepares us, and then in turn, it prepares our students. Why should your students certify? Student empowerment. Unity certification empowers students with valuable skills and credentials that are in high demand across various industries, including gaming, entertainment, education, healthcare, architecture, and beyond. The process of preparing for and earning a certification increases your knowledge and validates your skills. I have a friend that is a recruiter at a local credit union, and one of the certifications that we give, the Unity Programmer one, he loves that certification simply because when he sees it, he knows that even though they're not designing video games, they understand computer programming. It separates our students when they apply to either colleges or jobs. These certifications matter. It's a career advantage, right? Certifications provide a competitive edge in the job market. I tell my students at least once a week, maybe once a month, right? It's, Mr. Mayor, I'm going into cybersecurity. I am not going to utilize game development, but our employers look at these things and they see how they separate our students. It shows that they set a goal, they learned, and they achieved. It's important to give our students these opportunities, no matter if they're going into game development or not. And Unity skills are highly transferable and applicable across a wide range of industries beyond traditional game development. Studies have shown that certified professionals often earn higher salaries compared to the non-certified. So I wanted to leave you guys with some testimonials, and I have a couple in.
Hey everyone, my name is Kim Shaw McNeil, former student of Mr. Mayor, and I just wanted to come talk to you guys today about
I'm gonna go ahead and pause that there and move ahead. He discusses some other certifications, but doesn't necessarily bring in the importance of. Oh well, he does talk about the importance of Unity. But I wanted to stop. This young man was not going into game development. He wasn't for sure what his career choice was, and after taking the game development classes, he now works for Electronic Arts. He is a quality assurance tester, and so it's pretty cool. He plays video games for a living, and he gets to test those. Um, let's see how this one looks. I don't know if this one.
Hey, Tommy, I don't think that we're able to hear the video.
This one, or did you hear the other one?
At the beginning of the other one, we heard it, and then I was just about to pause, and then you had wrapped it up. Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Well, I'll go ahead and skip those. I apologize. I thought we fixed that the last time, but maybe we did not. Maybe I did not. It's a technology issue with technology guy. It's always fun to have those, right? I had 3 different videos, and each one of those is going into different careers. My next young man is a cybersecurity expert for Homeland Security. And all of those learned VR and computer programming through utilizing Unity. It's important because the basics that they learn that it covers so many different areas. If I can, going back, it's the problem solving skills that these students learn and they're able to utilize in their everyday life, no matter if they're in game development, database administration, or in this case, this young man is cybersecurity. My last ones don't have video or doesn't have sound, so we can play those. I wanted to show you some of the things that we're incorporating into our classroom. This is the young man that I was talking about earlier that is, I wouldn't say, well, he struggled. He always worked hard, but he struggled with the programming side. And then when we started diving into VR, this is what he created. So in this one right here, I make them check some of the things that they turn in, right? So the first thing is movement. They did that. The second one is they had to pick up an object. And so that's what he's working on now. He's trying to work and see changing the gravity and things like that to make it go into the basket. So little things, right? This is one of my star students here. All of this was created from scratch, except for the XR rig. He did not watch any tutorials. He is a trial and error type guy, and he's created some really cool things. So he's created a user interface, and he goes in and he picks up objects, and so now he can throw fire at his at different objects. And right on this one, he's testing sound to make sure that when it collides with something, it's an explosion sound with it. And my last one is from a student from last year, and this young man worked for a semester on this game, on and off between the different assignments that we did. And I'm gonna skip ahead so you can see some of the things that he has added. So he's added those hands. He went in and learned how to change his hands, and now he moves around. And I also make them, we use Blender in my classroom. So not everything is created in Blender, but the box that he has everything on, that's what he created in Blender. I just tell them that they have to create some 3D object and bring it in there. So this young man created this box, added the textures, and being able to utilize what he's learned throughout his 4 years. In our classes, we have a 4-year academy, so they start off as their freshman year. We don't start Unity until their sophomore year, and then their junior year is 3D, and their senior year is VR. And so he's taken everything that he's learned his 3 years, and this is what he's come up with. We use lighting. I make sure that they have different types of lighting in there, whatever lighting that they want. And again, I check little things. Hey, do you have movement? When you have movement, you turn it into this assignment. Do you have lights? Now I want to see the different lights. Can you pick up objects there? and I want two different types of sounds. I want a 2D sound, a background sound, or I want a 3D sound where it's triggered. So when he hits something with his axe, you can hear a thud sound with it. So I hope you enjoyed today. I hope I didn't ramble. I hope I was I hope it was just beneficial. One of the things that I was worried about is I never want to waste anybody's time. And I hope I didn't today, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions for me, I put my email address. I know that when you get this, you'll have a link to my LinkedIn account. And if you email me, I promise that I will email you back. And shoot, if you want my cell phone number, I didn't want to put it on the video here, but if you email me, I'll give you my cell phone number. My last thing is, for me personally, coming out of the civil sector, I was always taught you help other people. And then when I got into teaching, it was, hey, I created that. You can't have that unless you give me something back. If I've created anything and you can utilize it, I want you to have it. I have no problem sharing the stuff that I have. I have 2D tutorials. I have 3D tutorials. I'm creating VR stuff as we speak. I I want to educate not only my classroom but everyone around me. I think it creates a better society. So if I can help you in any way, please email me. We can communicate back and forth. Like I said, if you want my cell phone number where you can text me when you have ideas, I just spoke to a guy in Tennessee the other day about esports because we started an esports program, and he was like, "Hey, if you need anything, any ideas, you text me and and so I do. I utilize those, and if I can help you or anybody, only thing you have to do is contact me, and I'll do everything that I can."
Awesome. Thank you, Tommy. This was super impressive, and it was really awesome to see it all come together with your students' projects as well. We do have a few questions for you in the chat if you're up for that. So
Absolutely.
perfect. And if anybody else has any other questions, please feel free to drop them in. The first one from Kath, I have loved hearing about your student success and enthusiasm. What would you say prepares your students most to feel confident before taking one of the UCU certifications?
Well, again, one of the things that I do is because of me taking the test. And look, I take the test every year. In August, we start our school system starts. We go back to school August the 2nd of next school year, and that first week I will take that test again because number one, I know they change questions, and we talk about the things that they may see, and I make them go over little things to prepare them. Like I know that they'll see things about grabbable objects on that. So we go over grabbable objects, and we do it as a class. Even though our students may not test at the same time, I stop all of our students at the same time and say, look, when we prepare one, we prepare all. And so we go through things. And one of my best ideas I think I've ever had is we are student led. So I have a student computer that is also hooked up to our TVs. So I get a student, we play, luck of a number. My kids love the wheel of random. So everybody's name is on a wheel and we spin it, and whoever's name gets picked, they have to go back there and show us how to do something, how to add a XR rig, how to add a grabbable object, what's missing on certain things. So that's what we do, because when students teach students, they learn.
That's awesome. It kind of leads into the next question. What would you say are your students' favorite VR assignments?
I think the number one, oddly enough, students love being able to have freelance to do what they want, right? But as a learning tool, the Unity VR students enjoyed that because they get to create a game and everything's there and it walks them through it. So the students that may struggle, because I look at every year when I do my presentation, even though my students see me, it's the same students every year, we come up with a word, and this year's word is opportunity. And so we're presented with opportunities every day. And so I look at opportunities to fail as an opportunity to learn. And so some students don't like failing. They don't like making mistakes. So having those entry-level tutorials on how to do this and how to do that engages them. And then my students right now love the freelance one when I did, okay, and this is, so we have 9 weeks. It was a 9-week project. It was, you have to create a unique 3D world. I don't care what it is. You can create anything you want. And so I have students creating mazes. I have students creating an art, like a role-playing game. They have free reign. And then I do, hey, import your XR rig. It doesn't matter how, if you use the Unity one that's already built in, if you want to change things. The young man that had the one that shot the fireball, his XR rig, so he's amazing, by the way. He's got a mirror in his game, so when you look at it, it's a Mixamo character that he downloaded from the Mixamo.com site. So he's created that in there. And they love that. They love, like, hey, give us little checkpoints, but let us create whatever we want. And that's been the most beneficial. I have students that are creating. I have one right now that is creating a mini golf game, and he's got it where he can hit the ball. It counts how many strokes, and then if he makes the hole, it moves him to the next course or the next hole, and then it keeps track of all of his scores. When he figured out how to create a particle effect, not create, but add the particle effect when he gets it into the hole and it makes sound, it was, it triggered something for him. It was good to see.
That's awesome. That sounds so fun. Our next question, have you ever run any fundraisers for VR tech and equipment for your program?
I have not. I don't know where that question comes from, but we are lucky enough that when we earn certifications in our schools in Florida, the state of Florida pays us money, and we have to invest it back into our students. I'll give you an example, and this is not a brag, but this is a benefit of teaching in Florida. We just bought new computers for my lab, and we spent almost $70,000 on 31 computers. No monitors, no keyboards, just the towers itself. And at first, they're like, my goodness, why are you spending so much money? I was like, we're pushing the envelope at Tate High School. If my student wants to do something, I want to make sure my computer can do it. And they were like, done. That's all I needed to know. And so, but fundraisers, I'll tell you a great one that we use for FBLA, because I'm an advisor for the Future Business Leaders of America. If you have a Krispy Kreme in your area, they have the BOGO cards. It's phenomenal. We pay, I think it's $12 for the card, and we charge $25. It used to be $10, and we charge $20. And for FBLA, I think I sell probably 400 of those. And we do that after the New Year's resolution. We do it in February. So I don't know if it's because people have already given up on their New Year's resolution or what, but the Krispy Kreme fundraiser is really, really good. Also, if you have a Bubba's Burgers, or Bubba's, I think that's what it's called, is Bubba's Burgers. They have a pizza one that is really, really good. You get 50% 50% of the cost of the pizza. So if a pizza costs $20, you get $10 from that. That's a really good fundraiser. But the Krispy Kreme, by far, our best fundraiser that we do.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Our next question, is there a recommended order that you have your students take the Unity Certified User certifications?
Okay. Yes. So my sophomores start off with Unity Artist. Then we don't dive into VR until the end of our junior year, beginning of our senior year. We simply code our junior year, and we do I mix it up with a little 2D and a bunch of 3D in our junior year. And so then they take the VR test, and then they take their programmer. It used to be flipped, but thank goodness that they changed that. The VR certification used to be a bundle with the programmer, and that programmer test is tough. And so they had to take the programmer test first, then the VR. Now we can flip that a little bit. But I get picked on a lot by other Unity teachers that I'm friends with because, again, I feel like I'm a 2D expert because I love 2D games. And so we design a lot of 2D games. I think we design a total of 20 different 2D games. And so my students like it too, but they love 3D because it's something they see all the time. So to go back to answer your question, it's artist, then VR, and then the programmer.
Awesome. Thank you. It looks like we have one last question. So, do you have any tips on overcoming IT challenges in the classroom?
Ooh, just between you and I, most of the time my IT doesn't like me because there are issues. And so I spoke to my director, which is over our workforce department, and we were having issues with our VR. So you have to have the Oculus app downloaded on your machine, and our students, because of policy issues, they cannot run the Oculus app on the computers. So I said, look, if they're not going to fix this, then I'm going to sign them in as administrator. And the IT person said, well, that gives them a bunch of rights. And I'm like, hey, either you fix the issue or this is what I got to do. And then after speaking to my workforce director, he does, Tommy, do what you got to do. I got your back. If they won't fix the issue, this is what we got to do for our students to earn a certification and utilize this thing. So lucky enough, a lot of my students they work in our IT department. One of the benefits of going through our gaming academy is you can have internships at our school. And so 3 of our students as seniors actually get paid to go to school and fix IT problems. So when I'm not there, they sign everybody in as an administrator to be able to work. And so that's what we do. If I get in trouble for helping students succeed, then something's wrong with our education system. And I know how the question comes because I felt the exact same way. Is like, oh my gosh, we have all these problems and nobody's willing to help. Hey, if you're not willing to help, I'm going to do what I have to do for my students to learn and to earn these certifications. So that's what I do. I sign them in as administrator, and they have a bunch of rights, but I also trust my students because they're juniors and seniors. They've been with me for 4 years, and I know that they're not going to do anything to jeopardize me or them.
Awesome. Thanks for taking the time to answer some questions, and thank you for this awesome presentation. It's been so great, and thanks to everybody who joined. I do have a couple announcements before we close out. For our first announcement, as part of our Certified Academy design program, we offer a boot camp. Teachers interested in getting certified can use our curriculum, practice tests, and certification exams to see what it's like before offering it to your students. If you're interested in adding the boot camp to your Certified Academy registration, please email us at certifiedacademy@pearson.com. You can also read more about the boot camp on our blog, which I am going to drop in the chat here. I'm going to drop 2 links, so I'll talk about the second one right now. second announcement, Certified Academy Design is a great build up to our annual Certified Educators Conference, which Tommy already talked about, which is awesome. This is happening in Orlando, Florida on June 17th through 19th. If you're looking to enhance your experience, learn from additional creative educators, and connect with your fellow teachers, this is a great opportunity. So that is the second link there in the chat. The third announcement, in 2 weeks, we'll be discussing designing and creating with Adobe, Autodesk, and Unity. This session will be a chance to learn more about how professionals leverage all the tools we've been discussing over the last 5 webinars. We can't wait for you to join us. As always, thank you for spending this time with us. We look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you.